Let's talk about what's going on with Sam Bankman-Fried. In just the past 5 years, Sam Bankman-Fried went from buying his first Bitcoin to becoming a multi-billionaire. The FTX founder is now worth an estimated $11 billion. He could have bought that Jordan jersey if he wanted to. His exchange is now worth $32 billion, and it brought in about $1 billion in revenue just last year. CNBC's Kate Rooney has more on the CEO's rise to the top of the crypto industry. They call him the JP Morgan of crypto, right?
Yeah, the Michael Jordan of crypto, if you will. Sam Bankman-Fried has really played a key role in the crypto industries. Just the role in the industry this year in general, Andrew, he spent hundreds of millions of dollars to bail out struggling companies facing bankruptcy, liquidity issues, you name it. The CEO, though, lives a relatively understated life. For a billionaire, he drives a Toyota Corolla to FTX's offices. In the Bahamas, he lives with 10 roommates and a golden doodle named Gopher. Sometimes sleeps under his desk on a beanbag chair as well. I sat down with Bankman-Fried outside of FTX's headquarters to talk about his role as the industry's lender of last resort.
We only had a few days to make some of these decisions. What we basically came to believe was the following. The first was that, if possible, it would be extremely valuable to the ecosystem to backstop some of these places. First of all, it's just backstopping customers and making sure they're protected. But second of all, stopping contagion from spreading through the ecosystem, right? Stopping it from being the case that anyone who transitively did business with any chain of people who did business with one of the troubled assets themselves became troubled. And then the secondary goal was maybe there are good trades to do. Maybe there's an investment or acquisition that can be done at, terms that we'd be excited about, given the sort of need for capital right now. But that was usually not the standard we were able to hold ourselves to. In practice, the standard was, do we feel okay about this from a financial perspective? Like, does this look at least mediocre? Like not a huge loss in expectation, maybe a gain in expectation, hopefully, maybe not, was sort of the bar that something had to cross in order for us to feel comfortable, intervening there. And often we just weren't sure. Like, you look at a lot of these cases, they had 4 days before they were going to file bankruptcy. And so we had 4 days to do all of the diligence we could on the company, learn everything about it, understand the industry, their business, their customers, understand how we thought things were going to unfold, and then make a judgment call and wire money. I think the Voyager case is sort of an interesting one there. What we ended up doing was extending a sort of two-piece line of credit. And the first was $70 million. And that $70 million was money they could just draw on immediately, no strings attached. And we knew we might lose that. Then there's a larger line of credit, which would eventually have potentially plugged our best guess at the time as to what the complete hole was, but which had conditions on it. If there's just an immediate run on the bank here and the business is just going belly up and there's nothing we can do to actually save this, like, we don't want to just keep going through it. We very well may lose that $70 million. I don't know if we're seeing it again. And so be it. Like, we understood that risk going in.
Do you still have enough cash if you needed to do another bailout?
Yeah, we did. And we try to keep that on hand. Like, we try not to empty the coffer, so to speak. We had a couple billion going into this. And, it lines up roughly with the amount that we'd raised, over the last year. And, on top of that, we had been profitable.
So billion-ish to deploy?
Yeah, and again, you get to definitional issues here of how much do we really feel comfortable deploying? Saying that there's another ballpark billion, that is sort of, completely unencumbered, certainly will get you within a factor of two, certainly, of the right answer.
You said FTX has a responsibility to seriously consider stepping into the time to save companies. Why did you have that sense of responsibility?
It's not going to be good for anyone long term if we have real pain, if we have real blowouts, and it's not fair to customers, and it's not going to be good for regulation. It's not going to be good for anything, and so. From a longer term perspective, it's just that was what was important for the ecosystem, is what was important for customers, and it was what was important for people to be able to operate in the ecosystem without being terrified that unknown unknowns were going to blow them up somehow.
It's too soon to tell, of course, if these crypto bets will pay off. Time will tell. But Bankman-Fried has continued that spending spree, most recently with Skybridge Capital. As far as how they're able to afford all of this, Bankman-Fried says FTX is profitable, has kept costs low with about a tenth the amount of employees as some other exchanges, and the company has raised about $2 billion